Well, hello there, and welcome back to another episode of A New Life in Italy. I'm your host, Samantha Wilson, and today's episode is about something that almost every visitor in Italy gets wrong the first time that they come here. We write a checklist, we go to see the Duomo and the Colosseum and the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We try to get that perfect picture for Instagram or eat the perfect meal. But somewhere along the way, we discover that the moments that we remember the most are rarely in front of these famous things. They actually happen when we get lost, when a stranger starts a conversation, or when someone teaches us how to order coffee properly. And today we're talking about the difference between seeing Italy and understanding Italy, because they're two different things. And my guest today is someone who has spent years helping visitors discover the Italy that exists beyond the postcards. And I think by the end of this conversation, you will look at your next trip a little differently. So whether this is your first trip to Italy or your 15th, you're exactly in the right place. Are you ready? Let's get started. I'm Samantha Wilson, and this is A New Life in Italy, a show for people who love Italy and are quietly trying to figure out what it would really take to build a life here. We talk honestly about the practical choices, the emotional shifts, and the parts of this journey that don't always get talked about, so that you can move forward feeling informed, grounded, and more confident. If you're somewhere between dreaming and doing, you are in exactly the right place. Now, let's get into today's show. My guest today is Martina Arezzini. She is a licensed tour guide, and she's the founder of Florence Tours. Now, before you think this episode is simply about booking a tour, just stay with me here, because one of the things that Martina says during our conversation changed the way that I think about travel. She said that a good guide doesn't just show you monuments, they give you the keys to unlock a place, and I love that idea. Martina, she was born here, actually in Tuscany, and has spent years introducing visitors not just to Florence, but to Italy through the eyes of someone who actually lives here, a complete local. And together we talk about why every Italian region has such a distinct personality and what most tourists misunderstand about Italian culture and the difference between a licensed tour guide and a tour operator. But we also talk about the smallest interactions and why saying buongiorno can change everything in your vacation. But we talk about something I know that many of you have probably experienced, and it's that moment when a holiday slowly stops feeling like a holiday and you begin to wonder what it might actually be like to live here. It's a wonderful conversation, and I know you're going to enjoy it. Well, hello, Martina. So nice to meet you and so nice to have you on the show.
Hello, buongiorno. Thank you for
Buongiorno.
having me.
So we were talking a little bit before we started here, and you are in Florence right now, and today is actually July the 22nd. So we are in the middle of summer in
Correct.
Florence. You are, right?
Very hot. Yes.
Very hot. I know. The interesting thing about Florence is I always tell people, because of course I live in Florence, but I spend my time at the sea, as most people do in the cities in the summertime. Because Florence is in a bowl, so it gets quite hot and quite humid in the summer. But there's still quite a lot of tourists that are still coming into Florence at this time of year. Is that true?
Yes, there are. Even if now it's a little bit slowing down the season. Usually August, July, August is like very, very hot. So the peak season is May, June, and September, October. Then it's
Right.
always changing, evolving, but in this period it's very, very hot. July, yeah.
Right. So, Martina, you are a licensed tour guide and you are based in Florence. Your agency is based in Florence. I know you work all over Italy because, of course, Italy has so much to offer in so many different regions. But I want to talk to you not only just what you do at Florence Tours, but also I want to talk to you about the fact that you were born in Tuscany. You've been based in Florence for quite a long time. And I always like people to understand more about Italy rather than just, hitting the main tourist attractions, about really understanding the everyday realities and the traditions and the character of a place.
Sure. Italy, first of all, you have to imagine that it's a super old place, but a very new country. For us, it's not so much time ago that we became a country in 1861. So
Mm-hmm.
up to that moment, since the birth of our communities, our society, it's it's much older than the
Mm-hmm.
nation. So we have regions also before the nations, and
Mm-hmm.
Tuscany is one of those regions. So each region, we call it regionalism. Each region has a character. So people from Tuscany are very different from people from Sicily, or
Mm-hmm.
from Rome. So there's a huge difference. It's not all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So in
I
each one
see.
of these cities, you can really experiment a different language, a different dialect, a different food, a different behavior, different attitudes. And thanks to local people, especially tour guides, are obviously mediating between tourists and locals. You can really understand the differences that there are from town to town, from small village to small village.
Right. So it's not just regionally, as we know, it is very, Italy is, it feels so
Yeah,
weird to say Italy is a very young country, a
yeah,
very new republic, but it truly is. And it's what makes it really special because, as you said, each region has its own identity and it's all come together. But you
city.
yeah,
Yeah.
as a licensed tour guide, it's not even just, if we were to say Tuscany, it isn't even just Tuscany is all one thing. Inside Tuscany, there's
Mhm.
more, isn't there? There's a lot of difference between Siena, for
Yeah,
example, and Florence.
sure. Exactly. Because usually we always deal with people coming and saying, I always ask, what have you done? What are you doing in these days? And people usually, they tell me, tomorrow we go to Tuscany, or yesterday we
Yeah.
went to Tuscany. But, I mean, I'm based in Florence. So Florence is the capital of Tuscany. So of course, for us, this is not making, doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
And it's quite of fun. But we understand that for Tuscany people, they usually mean the countryside of Tuscany. So I
Right.
mean, sometimes there's people coming for a wedding in Tuscany, and then they just find out it's maybe 3 hours away from where they arrive, because
Yeah,
Tuscany is a big
we
region.
have, yeah, we have people say, I've seen this. Where's the best place to eat in Tuscany?
Yeah,
It's always kind of
exactly.
a funny thing.
They're
Yeah.
pretty a lot.
Yeah. Well, so you're a licensed tour guide. So let us understand, because there is a difference between that. So let us understand what you are when we say you're a licensed tour guide in Italy.
Yeah, a long time ago, long time ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I became an official licensed tour guide. So in Italy, in order to work as a tour guide, you need a license. It's required to have a national professional qualification. Especially, it's very important to have it because for us, I mean, it's illegal to work without a certification. So you
Hmm.
need to pass a test. There's a big exam that you have to pass. It's a written test, oral examination, practical
Hmm.
assessment of guiding skills. You have to demonstrate the knowledge of like Italian history, art history, archaeology, geography, tourism law, and cultural heritage. And then there is, at least you need to speak 2 languages.
Hmm.
Pass all the exams. It takes time. Now
Right.
from regional it became a national exam, so it's quite even more complicated. Now the process is still evolving. Sometimes it's changing, but long story short, I mean, it's required to have a license. So
Hmm.
it's very important because the tourist in Italy is super protected. So if you hire people with certifications, um, it's also protecting your experience.
Right, because you know the stories, you know the place, not
Yeah,
just because of the training that you've had, but because you see it both through a local lens and through your professional
yeah,
competency. Really, I guess it's the way it is, and I see this a lot. I see a lot of people offering tours and tour guides, but it's so important. And I say this all the time
yeah.
to people.
They are doing it illegally.
Yeah,
Mm,
please find somebody who is a licensed, qualified tour guide. It may cost you a little more sometimes, not usually,
not even.
but yeah, but it's the experience of really learning the history and learning the stories about the place that you're in, it's undeniably different.
Yeah. And also, when you now I open my own tour operator, which is also a difference because
Hmm.
tour guides work for tour operators. A tour
Hmm.
operator can take care. That's why I'm also working in all Italy, because a tour
Yeah.
operator can take care of organizing trips experiences. So we can plan the trip of a tourist from the beginning, from day number one. We can plan flights, cars,
Hmm.
we can book all the experiences. While a tour guide can just. I mean, it's a lot, but a
Yeah.
tour guide can explain, for example, inside a museum. So that's a
Right.
tour guide service. While tour operator, it's combining together all these services like private driver, private guide, and book a winery, and then is organizing the experiences. So
Right.
it's very important, especially to have official tour operators because they have an insurance and they have all the tools to support you during the trip. So if
Right.
something happens, you really want to be with someone that has a license instead of someone that is maybe a guy that you found randomly.
Hmm. Hmm. So exactly. So again, it's if you're coming to Italy, and a lot of people who come here just for a vacation, sometimes it's their bucket list. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
the biggest vacation there. They'll only come to Italy once, and they want to see so many things that they've been looking at on socials, and they want to experience it themselves. But tell me, let's talk a little bit about that. So, what does it really mean to experience a place through a local lens? Can you explain that?
Yeah, first of all, we know the people, we know the places, so we are the contact that you have to mediate and to get introduced to these people. And for people, I mean, even the person that work in a cafeteria, when we get a cappuccino in Italy, it's an experience. Like
Hmm.
if you come with a local, we can really introduce you to that guy which is preparing the coffee for you. We can do it at the Italian way, so you will learn our habits, and especially we can show you what is beyond the, we call it glass window cities, when
Right.
everything is perfect, everything is fantastic. It's fantastic also if you don't stay in the main road. So
Hmm.
if you get lost in the less famous neighborhoods, especially,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you find a small artisan which maybe can share also some of his own experience and tell you about the history of his family, maybe. mm,
Well, I think that's what makes, I mean, it makes travel so interesting, but also Italy in particular, is that it isn't just about checking off a list of things to see, walk past, take a picture of yourself in front of the Duomo and move on to something else. It really is about the experience of Italy and Italians and the because you have a very specific way, a lot of rules, a lot of
Many
very in entrenched traditions and cultural approaches to so many things. And I think that when you go with a local person, they will open up that door and show you something else. I had one of my girlfriends was here over the summer for a vacation from Canada, and she just loves Italy, and she would want to take pictures of just a bunch of old guys playing cards at a table, which they do, right? And she just always say, "Can I take your picture?" And 90% of the time they'd say yes, but sometimes they just say no, right? Like go away. And I was joking, saying, "Oh, it's like Italians in the wild," is what she's trying to photograph. But what she's trying to do is get into that.
Yeah, we have some rules, of course, food rules. We're very picky and strict
Yeah.
about how to eat food here. We joke, but we don't joke. We're pretty serious, and especially we have some cultural general rules that are,
Hmm.
for us, are not even rules. We grow up with these. But for example, I know it's pretty obvious, but sometimes people maybe they have to um, check so many places. Maybe they're in a hurry, and maybe tourists they
Mm.
simply get a coffee and go away. For us, it's not like that. So when you enter in a place and you simply say a buongiorno,
Hmm.
smiling, buongiorno, how are you? Everybody would be much nicer, like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
more polite, or they will spend more time. So it's a different experience. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
you just needed to know that you have to say buongiorno, and you
Mm-hmm.
maybe think that you're not pronouncing it in a correct way, so you just don't say it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
changing a lot. It's like when you take a picture, of course, like your friend, if you ask, people, they will be happy to be in your picture 90%
Mm-hmm.
of the time. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't ask,
Yeah. Yeah.
90% of the time they're gonna be annoyed because they don't know what is the picture going to be, or
Right.
so simply
Right.
some simple rules, that maybe you don't think about, but it's gonna be completely different your experience if you start to pay attention to these small details.
Hmm. And if you go off and I mean, it's also nice to explore things on your own. But I always like to tell people if they're coming for the first time, especially in larger cities and larger places, it's so nice to connect with somebody local, like you, and they can open all those doors and you learn all of those little things that will make the rest of your
Mhm.
travel a lot different.
Yeah, it's like we provide the keys for
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
opening some doors that maybe you didn't even know that there were those doors.
Well, so all the people that you work with, obviously, do you work with big tours or do you make special private tours for people as well?
Yeah, we work with groups that can
Hmm.
be. We don't work with group tours. It's a choice of our agency, but we work with groups like, for example, a family of 10 people,
Yeah,
15.
right.
We work with schools, of course, but mostly
Hmm.
we work with privates, which is couples or friends,
Right,
solo, and we have obviously experiences that are already created. For example, the tour of the Uffizi or the tour of the David at the Accademia.
hmm
But we like to connect with the client, which is booking with us. So when the client sends a request, it's telling us about his interest, and if it's the first time, second time, third time, if he's gonna focus on museum or maybe food or wine, countryside, whatever.
right, right.
He tells us the number of days available, and then we
Hmm.
create the tour, which is customized. So
Hmm.
we like to personalize and customize the experience according to the request of the client.
Right.
That's why,
So when with all the people that you meet from all over the world, I imagine,
yeah,
when people visit Italy, what we experience with people is that Italy, in a way, can change them, or it exposes them to a different way of life or different way of living, which as
absolutely.
the culture of Italy. So, tell me, have you seen a moment maybe where maybe the people that you're with, you've almost seen them just all of a sudden like a click for someone, where they feel like they're no longer just visiting or just a tourist, but they can almost imagine themselves
Yeah,
living here?
sure. Because I'm also working with people that are coming for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
I take care of groups of people, couples, solos that are retired people mostly, and they come here to rest, like to live in Florence for 1 month. And this is really, but also if you stay for less time, like 15 days, 1 week,
Right.
there's like after a few days, after the first days in which you're obviously fascinated by the Duomo and by the main highlights, which is important as well to take
Mm-hmm.
pictures with the Duomo, but then you can start to get lost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's you can really see after a few days, because if you go in the same place, that's what I suggest. If you stay for longer, you can
Mm-hmm.
really start to go in the same cafeteria under your
Mm-hmm.
apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if you have
Yeah.
less days, you want to see more places. But if you have
Yes.
like 2 weeks, you can start to go for more than once in the same place. And you will
Mm-hmm.
see the locals are recognizing you, and they're trying to build step by step, if they see you are coming back, a
Mm-hmm.
relation. And then you really want to go in the same place because you became friend of that guy. So you build a relation.
Mm-hmm.
And you really see the people that are starting appreciating this slower moments
Right. Right.
and the slower Italian lifestyle.
Which
Um,
which makes it so much harder for everyone to leave. It's
yeah,
sort of why they always think they fall in love with Italy, which, when someone says that to you, when they say, oh, I fell in love with Italy,
Yeah.
what do you think they're usually falling in love with? I mean, what do you think that is?
Everything.
Everything, the food, the
First of all,
beauty.
in Italy, it's very easy to fall in love with because it's even if you stay one day, it's really beautiful. So it's really magnificent. But especially, I think people they fall in love with the traditions we have. So for the love we can convey of food, lifestyle. I think people they mostly fall in love with our we call it dolce far niente, when we're not in a hurry usually. I mean, there's people working that are, of course, in a hurry, but there's also always time for a meal which is not rushed. When you sit down, we never rush when we sit at the table. So we have times for conversations, we have times for the small things. And so people they start to appreciate the small things as well.
Right, right. And it's one of those things that only really is in this country. I travel a lot, and other countries have their, beautiful things about it, but there is something very unique about Italy and the culture and the way the people, like you always hear this, oh, Italians, it's about the people are so great. And it is, I mean, friendly, but it's about their permission that they give each other to be human. I always say that, and how they take the time to live in the moment as opposed to always thinking about what they're doing next. And not everybody, of course, we can't generalize, but I think maybe that's what people fall in love with Italy. It gives them this permission to just enjoy the moment without thinking about the next, which is really hard to do if you live in North America, for example. It's
We
hard to
also
commit to
we
that.
can really see people are really really appreciating the fact that they don't have to drive everywhere. And so this, for example, Florence is really a walkable city. So
Yeah.
if you have to go from one point to another point, you mostly walk, and then you go to the next point by walking because it's not a long distance. It's maybe 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes plus ten
Yeah.
minutes. At the end of the day, you walked a lot.
A lot. So you feel better.
And you
You
feel
automatically
better,
feel,
right?
yeah. Yeah. You
And
feel like you've
also
exercised.
that walking is like allowing you to really enjoy the itinerary. Like you're
Yeah.
walking to that destination, but maybe you see the artisan and then you notice something that you haven't noticed before. Then you meet the person that you know, and so you stop to talk 2 minutes and then you keep walking. So it's an experience,
Right.
walking. And that's even relaxing because you get to know different roads, then you find your favorite one.
Yeah.
So
A routine set in. So
yeah.
as we wrap up, tell me one thing that someone could do if you were to say to someone, what's the one thing that they can do on their next trip to Italy that would completely change how they experience it? What's the one thing?
Hire a tour guide.
Hire a tour guide. Yeah,
But
and I
it's
don't
really
think that you're just,
changing.
yeah, you're not just saying that because that's what you do. It's really true and really honest. It's because, especially at the beginning, right? Do that at the beginning.
Yeah, we. It's very important also to, I think, contact a tour operator when you decide to book because we can really optimize your time and we know the best places. We really want you to enjoy the experience. So I mean, not everybody's trying to scam, so it's really important for us to make people happy, and we really
Yeah.
care about it. So I think if you contact a tour operator, we even send suggestions. For example, we prepared a booklet for our client in which we can really we put everything, like suggestions, some Italian sentences that you can use,
Yeah.
our favorite restaurants list. We put a list of Italian songs and Italian movies that were maybe recorded in that place that you're
Yeah.
visiting. So we provide you with all the tools and all the things that you need. And I think
And
this
the
is really,
time, the
yeah,
saving of time and making
yeah,
sure that
because
you're
we're
not
optimized.
wasting going someplace that maybe isn't as good as another place, which only you would know. So if people want to book you, where can they find you?
We have a web page which is
Mm-hmm. Sun Florence
www.sunflorencetours.com.
Tours. Okay. And I think you probably are all over socials as well, Instagram and Facebook. And
Yes, we have Instagram page which is Sun Florence Tours. You can find me Martina Sun Florence. So you just have to type Sun Florence Tours.
yeah. And I'll also put all of your links inside the show notes. So it make it nice and easy for people to find you after that.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
for us, it's really a pleasure to make people happy, to organize everything. And we also had the time to find out good places. I mean, if you live in a place, maybe you try that new restaurant and maybe you fall in love with it, or maybe you don't like it. If you fall in love, you keep going. If you don't like it, obviously that's the last time that you go there. If you are here in Florence just for one day and you fall in a place that you don't like, I mean, for us,
Mm,
it's a shame because you really have to enjoy your day. So we provide you with lists with lots of
right.
information that makes you
Optimize that time
optimize your
for sure.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
even if
All
you,
right.
yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, Martina, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you. I think that you're obviously very passionate about what you do. And of course, Florence is, it's nice to go out and work in Florence, even if it's boiling hot right now.
Yeah,
It's still a beautiful place to work. So thank you so much.
thank
And
you.
I hope that everybody listening has a chance to meet you the next time that they come to Florence.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
What I loved most about my conversation with Martina wasn't actually the discussion about tours. It was a reminder that Italy isn't a country that you simply visit, it's a country that you participate in. And you don't really experience Italy by rushing from one landmark to the next, although I know that's tempting. You actually experience it by slowing down long enough to notice those little things that are in between those landmarks, like the neighborhood cafe where the owner remembers your order, or the artisan who's been making leather for millions of years, it feels like, or even watching old men argue over cards in a piazza. Those are the moments that stay with you. And I also loved Martina's reminder that a licensed guide doesn't just save you time, they actually save you from missing the stories that are hiding in plain sight. So if you're planning a trip to Italy, whether it's your very first visit or your 10th, I'd really encourage you to think about how you want to experience it. Do you want to see Italy or do you want to understand it? Now, I'll put all of Martina's details, including Sun Florence Tours, in the show notes if you'd like to learn more about her work. And as always, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. Until next time, ciao for now. It's time for listener questions. Just like the old radio call-in shows, my team has picked 3 listener questions. I have no idea what these questions are, but I haven't been stumped yet. Are you ready? Let's get started. All right, time for questions. Question number 1. When is the best time of year to visit Italy if I want to avoid crowds? Now, I love that there was that added piece, if I want to avoid crowds, because the best time to visit Italy really depends on what you want to do here. And although a lot of people, and I see them here in the middle of February wandering around in shorts, thinking that because we're in the Mediterranean, it's warm all year long, it isn't. We have 4 very distinct seasons, even in the south. Although it's a little warmer in the south, obviously, than in the north, it's still 4 very distinct seasons. So depending on the weather and depending on what you want to do when you're here, you should choose your time to visit based on that, on the season. Now, if you want to avoid the crowds, usually the peak time in Italy for crowds is in the spring, like May, June, July. Everybody thinks it's August, but it isn't. August is super hot, and normally in the cities, all of the Italians have fled, literally fled like I have, to the sea or up into the mountains. So really the only people left are the tourists, and there's really not a whole lot of crowds in August. And I think August in North America, a lot of people are sort of settling back in, maybe getting kids ready for school again. But really it's June and July, and then it gets a bit busy again in September and October, but not overcrowded. Cities can be pretty crowded most of the time. But if you take Martina's advice and, maybe go off of the beaten track a little bit, you'll be able to experience something different any time of the year. Question number 2, how much Italian should I learn before traveling to Italy? You don't need to speak Italian to just travel to Italy. Of course, it will help if you do, but not just help you get by and understand what's going on, but really help you find your place and communicate with the locals, or at least tell them that or show them that you're trying. You don't need to speak fluent Italian or even speak well, even if you just know a few words like grazie or buongiorno or something that's very simple, to show that you're thinking about them and that you realize you're not in your home country and that you are in Italy. But it's fun to try your Italian if you're here traveling and, see how it goes. But you don't need to be fluent just to travel to Italy. And question number 3, what are the biggest etiquette mistakes tourists make in Italy? Oh, this is a big one. Because from what I see, the etiquette mistakes depend on the culture, depend on who that tourist is. So, and how it really reflects on the way that Italians are. So as much as people think that Italians are super warm and welcoming and kind, and they are, there's no question, they're also very formal. And there are rules on how close and how informal you speak to some people. And, just the waving, hey, hi, and smiling at people is a bit disarming to a lot of Italians. It's not usually the way that they'll greet people or greet strangers at least. So although it's not a mistake and it's not bad, it's definitely culturally different. Most of the mistakes that I see come from people just overstepping their place, their almost entitled place, because I'm a tourist, I'm paying for this, give me my service that I expect. And this is where it usually goes sour pretty quickly. And I think that the best thing is to remember that you're a guest in this country. And I think anywhere you travel that you don't, live in, you're a guest, and take the time to understand at least a little bit what is socially normal and opposed to what your socially normal is, and respect the differences and not try to always enforce how you do things in your home country compared to how they're doing things here in Italy. Service is not the same here. It's not the same level here, and that's just the way it is. So I think one of the biggest etiquette mistakes is enforcing your home world or where you're from onto Italy, and that rubs people quite often the wrong way. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you of something. You don't need all of the answers right now. You just need the right questions and the space to think clearly. If this episode helped you feel more grounded or less alone, that's exactly why the show exists. You can find all of the links and the resources that I mentioned in today's episode in the show notes. And if you want to go deeper, head over to smartmoveitaly.com for more ways that we can help you make your move to Italy a whole lot easier. And if you're enjoying the show, subscribing, leaving a review, or sharing it with someone that is also dreaming about Italy helps more than you know. Thanks again for spending time with me. I will see you next week. Ciao for now.